Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to call the City of Smithville Historic Preservation and Design Standards meeting to order. Notice is hereby given pursuant to the Texas Open Meeting Act that the City of Smithville will conduct a Historic Preservation and Design Standards Committee meeting on Are we good now, Jill? Okay. This is what happens when you try and have a government meeting at 5 o'clock on a Friday.
It's totally about technology. So we have somebody on the Zoom. And so for her to speak, I'm going to have to turn on the computer. But since we are live streaming and I had the sound up, it started to do the feedback thing and there's a delay in the live stream for YouTube. So it's all very complicated, but I'll be watching for Caroline. And when she goes like crazy, and then I'll just have you all stop and do all the things. So I apologize. We got to get used to this stuff. Thank you.
No worries. It's fine. Thank you, Jill. So this meeting has officially been called to order, I think multiple times. Welcome everyone. Thank you for being here. Sorry, I couldn't make it last month. We've got several things on the agenda. Item number 3 is our announcements. And I do want to mention thanks to those of you that were able to be at the city council meeting on Monday to receive the Historic Preservation Month proclamation and have our picture taken. And another announcement is that this is actually going to be my last meeting as chair. I am going to be stepping down. I'm going to be out of the country for 6 weeks this summer, and then we are moving in the fall. I know I can't do that. So Carolyn is our vice chair, and so she will serve as a temporary chair until you guys appoint a new chair at your next meeting. Is that okay with everyone? Well, I know Nancy would like me to change my plans. So I was appointed to this committee originally in 2016 and have served as chair since 2020. So I also think it's time to get some new blood and fresh ideas up here. And I know you guys will be just fine. And I'm just a phone call away if anyone needs me. Thank y'all. And I wanted to do it during the meeting so y'all don't try to plan anything. So discussion and action, review and approve the meeting minutes from April 19th. Jill has provided those for us. I'd be happy to entertain a motion. Make sure you speak into the mic.
As I saw no changes or directions, I would make the motion that we accept these minutes as submitted. You're hard to hear me. I made the motion that we approve the minutes as written.
Okay, do I have a second? No, everybody jump up at once. I need a second.
She did.
Okay, Bonnie has seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Fantastic. Motion passes. Next is discussion and action regarding Fred and Lori Beck's COA for the main gallery at 200 Main Street. And I believe we have Fred and Lori and the muralist. Helena is in the audience. Do you guys want to speak to us? You're welcome to come up and use the mic and share any information you would like.
Introduce Helena, but this was conceived as a kind of a gift to Smithville. It's not intended to advertise or market us, but to be something that would be there when people came to visit Smithville, that they would look at and they would go, oh, wow, that's neat. We're all about art, and Helena is a gifted and well-known muralist. So we chose her to do this. It was interesting. We talked a lot about what it should be about, and there was no thought other than it should be about Smithville. It should be friendly, open, easy, And so Lena and I flew a drone around town. We looked at trees. We took pictures of pecan trees, oak trees, all the things we could think about with Smithville. And you're going to see some of that in the mural. We also had some birders who said, these are Smithville birds and you need to put these in there. So that's where it kind of came from. Lena has a long record of doing murals successfully and beautifully, which is why she's here and why she was picked. And so I'm gonna just give it to her. She can talk about it. I did give you, a photograph of this building in 1910 showing that there's historic precedence for putting stuff on the side of this building anyway. And so that's there also. But really, this is Lena's show.
Hello, hi, I'm Helena. So about this mural, a little bit about it. So my expertise is painting native flora and fauna wherever I go. So after I talked with Lori and Fred and we did our research, I picked some specific birds and a live oak tree because I thought it best represented the wildlife in Smithville. So we have a barred owl on the left. In the very top, we have 2 lark sparrows. In the upper right, we have a Mississippi kite. Just below that is a wide-eyed vireo. A pileated woodpecker is looking up at the Mississippi kite. And then we have a yellow rumpled warbler in the very bottom. So it's a menagerie of sorts. We envisioned this would be a bird paradise. And of course, in the bottom right is the Colorado River. And I don't know what the name of that bridge is, but it's the bridge, the main bridge. Yeah. So in terms of technical language, the wall is in really good shape. It's been recently cleaned and repointed, so I won't have to do any specific cleaning with the brick, but I would use an extreme bond primer to make sure that I have a firm foundation for the mural, and then use exterior grade paint. It's a south facing wall, so we curated the palette so there weren't a lot of warm colors in it, since it'll be more, those are the colors that tend to fade earlier. In about 5 years, yellows start to go. So we just have a little bit of yellow in the vireo and the warbler. So we've kind of tried to think about the longevity of the mural as well. Did anyone have any questions about the process?
Head Nancy.
Yes,
Yeah.
I do.
Sure.
I love it. But there's a couple questions I
Sure.
have.
Mhm.
The first one is, what do you expect the longevity of it to be?
I use exterior grade paint. We're going to use that really good primer.
I realize weather has a lot to do with it.
Yeah, so I don't think, the only thing I could say is that maybe about 5 years in, I would need to touch up some of the yellows on the vireo and the warbler.
Okay.
Yeah, but I don't expect any peeling or anything like that.
Okay.
And no, I mean, I would say 20 years. would be good.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I just wanted some idea.
sure.
And one other thing, I have a comment.
Mhm.
So I have coffee with the birds in my yard every morning.
Yeah.
And there's a couple that I don't see here that I see all over Smithville. And one of them is very important to me because I have several pairs, and that would be the cardinal.
Okay.
Bright red guy, brownish girl.
Mhm.
Babies are kind of a mix until they lose their feathers. And the other one, because I live on the edge of town, I have 5 doves that come and eat at my feeders, especially once hunting season starts, but they're there right now. So I don't know how far into the city the doves come. Does anybody have any? You have doves and you live right in Central City. Yeah. And there's a small black and white bird, and it escapes my name, that hangs around with the cardinal.
Not chickadee.
Yes, it is.
Okay. I love
Yeah,
chickadees.
chickadee.
Yeah.
And you might want to consider, because they're the common bird.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm from the Midwest. I missed robins. You don't have robin except when they're migrating. And a couple of years ago, I have a semicircle in my front yard. It was wall to wall with robins. Haven't seen any since. But I know cardinals and doves and chickadees, and of course sparrows, are all over town. That would be my only suggestion. Other than that, being a lover of birds, I think it's wonderful.
I
Hummingbirds.
so appreciate that feedback because I don't live in Smithville. So I'm dealing with Austin birds and I just did a few days of research around here. So I appreciate that. And I did actually paint a huge cardinal in Brenham for the Texas Art and Music Festival. So I do enjoy painting cardinals.
Very good. And just to remind everybody on this commission, so our role is not to, we don't regulate based on aesthetics. We are looking at the historic integrity of the
Mhm.
property and the application of any changes to such. I love learning about birds, even though birds scare me to death personally, but absolutely. And I appreciate that. I have a question, Fred,
Mhm.
on one of the inclusions in our packet. You have a main gallery logo towards the rear of the building. Is that just to remind us that it's the main gallery, or are you planning on putting that on there? Okay. Yep.
That was a secondary thought. And it came up after the design was done, and I thought, we've got a muralist here who can paint on buildings. So we need a logo up high. And then I thought, let's get it as far away from the mural as we can get it. We talked about this. So we put it at the other end of the building on purpose, but I think it's a good idea. If you guys don't have an issue with it, my thing was, she's here, she knows how to do this. We'll put it over there at the same time. And that was it. Where we really don't want people looking at this and going, this is an advertisement. This is down at the other end and it's black and white on purpose.
Okay.
Our logo is not black and white,
Okay.
but that's what that was about.
So
That's
I
what it is.
believe, and I'm not 100% certain, but I believe that would be considered a sign, and we do not grant sign permission. So I think that that component of the mural is not something that this body is authorized to make a recommendation to council on. Does that sound right, Jill? Yeah. Okay. Now we can tell council that, you know, if this, what this committee decides that this building has been painted before, we are, you know, fine with painting to the brick, but we cannot approve a sign because that's actually an advertisement since it's the name of the business.
I'm good with that, but how would we go about getting the sign approved? If we did get this part approved, it's secondary, but since I'm hearing this, what do we do?
And you and I will talk after the fact. And I think that, I think what I'd like you all to do is just to tacitly say, since it is a painted part, if you'd like to say that that whether or not you know, that kind of is included in this, that so that in case, so we don't have to come back and do anything else just in case, because it's not a sign where he'd be adding something to the building. It's a painted on the brick, which is what you guys all kind of do too. So, but signage is, you know, we don't do this very often. So I've got to go back and talk to Jennifer Lynch and just make sure, and Tracy Disnowski, and make sure that we got that all organized. But I think we can, you know, let's talk on Monday.
Okay, we went through the sign approval once before on the front, but as you said, it was attached. So I didn't, I'm clueless, but if we can do it, we'll do it.
Apologies to everybody for being tardy. I called Kelly Holt because she and Mike sort of represent the film commission here. I think the mural is super cool and I love art in public places, but I just had a concern about whether or not it would interfere with any period pieces that the film industry wanted to do. And she said, she talked to Mike and said, first of all, she just really doesn't want to tell you what you can do. And she personally thinks it is really cool and likes it. And she said for period pieces, it probably wouldn't be something that the movie industry would be comfortable with. Not that we get a ton of that, but just because of its brightness and the palette, but that the film industry is sophisticated enough to cheat it and figure it out. So they're cool with it.
That due diligence. Leroy?
First of all, I want to commend the artist. I mean, I think it's a great piece.
and it's real good. And I do think it would go great on a building, but just not in Smithville. I think this would be more or less for like downtown Sixth Street in Austin or someplace on the Riverwalk in San Antonio. But I think it's just too vibrant and just not keeping with Smithville's heritage and Smithfield's history. And I think, you know, if we set an example like this, well, then who's to keep some other building from trying to put something up here? And all of a sudden, Smithville Main Street looks like a carnival.
So I just want to, and your point is noted, Leroy, and thank you for that. But we cannot regulate design. We are looking at the historic integrity of the property. And so it's fantastic that the muralist is here and we get to see the concept. But what we're really considering, what our role by the city council is to make a recommendation as to whether this mural detracts from or negatively impacts the historic integrity of the building, so of the structure itself, just as an FYI.
The only thing I would say here is that there are a number of murals on Main Street. And there's precedent already there for this. This might be more colorful. And I would actually say that it's probably the best way of bunch, but it's already there. It's been done. And I personally would like to see more of this sort of thing, especially this sort of friendly, open, you know, nature.
I personally, I think it's beautiful. And I hope that you do this or something similar. Just from, and you probably agree with me, just from being downtown all the time, people love that stuff. They love to get their picture taken by it. It draws them to you. So I think it's a great idea.
I don't know if this is a point of order or what this counts at, but you said that we as a commission really are here to opine on whether or not something fits with the historical integrity of the building, the structure, but we are asked to opine on paint colors regularly. That is within our purview. So I would consider this to be of a similar nature to fall in that category. And I think it's pretty cool.
Right, which is why we get the design concepts, and maybe I worded that wrong. And so we are, anyways, but yes, so we are, does it detract or add to the historic integrity of the property? And I just, anytime you get an appointed or an elected body, you know, arguing about paint colors or design choices, it can get, you know, very cumbersome, and seen 6-hour meetings before, you know, people arguing over specific design choices. And so I just don't want us to focus on the aesthetics of something, because our main role is to focus on the historic integrity, if that makes sense. Anyone have any other questions for the applicant or the muralist? Okay.
Well, you know, he said that there are other murals. I'll agree. And there are a lot of buildings painted, but they're a muted color. They're not the bright, vibrant colors. They're more just an, what would you say, an earth tone colors instead of this, you know, the bright colors, the flashy colors.
You're welcome to make a motion, Leroy, or if anyone else wants to make a motion.
Motion?
Okay.
This microphone's not great. I move that we recommend approval of the mural proposed by Fred and Lori Beck for Main Gallery at 200 Main.
Yep. I have a second. So Monica made a motion to approve, and Nancy seconded. I just want to clarify for the record. So the advertisement piece, we are okay with that being painted on there, but we don't permit advertising signs, just as, so put that on the record for the motion. So I'll be happy, or anyone opposed to that motion? Raise your hand. That's okay, Lear. We don't all have to disagree. This is what civility is all about. That's fine. We're all okay. And Susie, so I've got 2 that have objected. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Clear for everyone. Bonnie, you had your hand raised. Okay.
Sarah and Caroline said that she approves also. She
And Caroline
texted.
approves. Okay. So the motion passes. Don't make me do math, but we had 2 nays and the rest were yays. So thank you. All right. The next item on our agenda is another COA from Miss Victoria Allen at the Front Room Wine Bar at 116 Main Street to install 3 different awnings. I'll go ahead and Victoria will not be voting on this item, but she will go ahead and present the information to us.
My hope, and I don't know if everybody got this picture or not, but below these 3 windows right here, I just want to add retractable awnings on a crank. They're not going to be electronic because those are a nightmare, but just to provide some shade for people when they're sitting outside and eating and drinking. This is kind of what the awnings will look like. This is a basic design of what they'll be. And I don't know where my packet go. The dimensions on it. Thank you. 2 of them are 84 inches wide and the middle one is 97 inches wide. And they will project out into the sidewalk about 24 inches. So it's just to provide some shade because that sun beats through those windows in the summer like you wouldn't believe. Even the velvet curtains don't help. But anyway, that's what I'm requesting to do. And they can be removed at any time. So they're not exactly permanent. Thank you.
For a matter of clarification for everyone. So we would approve or deny the COA, make a recommendation to city council, and then Victoria will also be getting an encroachment agreement because those awnings will extend over the city sidewalk. So just point of clarification for everyone on that. Does anyone have any questions for the applicant? Okay. I'll be happy to entertain a motion. Walter?
Victoria, I'm curious whether you considered putting in an awning that's deep enough that it serves the people that are walking on the side.
Thank you, Walter. I have thought about that, Walter. But just the shape of this building, I just don't know how I would do it and keep within my budget. I mean, we're talking a lot of money to do that. My husband and I did talk about it, and I think, and I'll show this in a minute, but I think it would have to be up in the brick to make it an awning. I mean, for sure, I think it would have to be into the brick, and I'm not sure if we're willing to do that to that building. So this is just an easy fix for my customers right now and easily removed and doesn't cost me thousands and thousands
You
of
know,
dollars.
they're.
I don't think there
excuse
was
me,
ever an
very-
awning on this building, looking back. Have you ever seen a picture of an awning on that building?
Oh, no, I haven't.
I don't think there ever was one. And just because of these posts right here, I just don't know how, because these are steel, those posts.
Well,
This is
well,
where if
there's some
there was an
glaring,
awning- My husband and I have talked about it. It would have to be into the brick just for stability. And I'm not sure how that would work.
well, on Main Street, there are a few buildings that used to have awnings that
Mhm.
need them desperately.
Yes,
you
they
know.
do.
And like, if it's raining, you're gonna get wet, and if
Mhm.
it's, hot, you're gonna be walking in the sun. I
Exactly.
just-
We hop from awning to awning on Main Street.
Is it gonna be, I'm looking here, at least 7 feet above the sidewalk,
So
the
this is,
clearance?
yeah, so they would be installed here, here and here. It comes straight out. at 24 inches. So this is, I mean, this is 7 or 8 feet, this
Okay.
entrance. right here. It's not going to
So-
interfere with anything.
So 6-foot person's not gonna hit it.
No, 6-foot person's not going to.
Any other questions for the applicant? Okay, I'll be happy to entertain a motion.
I move that we, nobody else speaking up. I move that we recommend approval of the COA for Victoria Allen at the Front Room Wine Bar, 116 Main.
Okay,
Who's
I've got it. Motion by Monica and a second by Walter. All those in favor, please say aye. And Caroline?
Also, she also said aye.
Okay, perfect. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Item number 7 is discussion and potential action on historic preservation awareness in the historic district. Thanks to Leroy and Jill and Andy, we have made some progress. We've got a quote, and in our packet is a draft of the first door hanger. And we need to work on shortening it based on Andy's message. Is that? So this was in the packet that Jill emailed out. It should be right up here. Yep. Yeah, this was last minute. We've been waiting on the printer. And then the back side has Leroy's original content that he shared in. So I don't know that we necessarily need any action. We're still kind of working on this internally, but that we are moving forward, and hopefully we'll get the first one out before the end of May. Any other questions or thoughts or feedback?
And why are we talking about printing 500?
That is the total for the year.
Oh, that's for the year.
That's for the year. So I
That's-
think it's like 40 a run. And so that we have all signed up to create content for these. And so that's the total cost of all of them for the year. And so these are going to be distributed in the downtown commercial historic district where we have purview.
I did not receive this, but I see that there's an estimated cost. What kind of printing is this going to be on? Is it going to be on a card?
It'll be
And
that
what
card
kind
stock.
of weight?
So you see how it's a door hanger? It'll be a card stock. I guess I don't have that specified in here, but the way that it's a typical kind of a heavier stock of a card that would be appropriate for leaving outside to,
Will it be coated
I think
to
so.
protect it from?
That's my understanding is it'll be one of those kind of glossy printed program.
Okay.
I'll confirm that when we get to the time for printing it, and I can probably get, I think Denise said that she was going to be able to give us some examples if we wanted to. So I can bring some of them downtown and make sure you have a chance to take a look at what she's got for samples.
Okay. And is this being done by I know we don't really have a print shop in this area.
No, well, this would be GNC Printing is where we went to get a quote.
GNC,
Yep.
they're
Yeah.
very good.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, and one of the things that I did want to just touch on, if I can get the thing to work. Okay, so what Andy kind of gave as a mock-up is something where you've got about the historic preservation design standards. This is too much text, but it was just something to put a placeholder of something. And Leroy had brought in the first welcome to Smithville, Texas, and the historical the dates. And so if you look at this, it cuts off. So there's too much text on the whole thing to begin with. So we'll have to just figure out. I put some things for discussion, and certainly any kind of edits that you all want to make is, we'll go with what you want to make. I think that this was the cost estimate was for a one-sided door hanger, but I can check with her and see about turning it into a double-sided door hanger as well. And so we'll bring that back and see what that adds up to.
Please get the quote for double-sided because it might be nice to add images to some of them.
Yeah.
Historic photos.
Sure. Okay.
And I'd also be interested to know, can we put stuff above the fold, so to speak, or whatever, up on the top? Like, can the city's logo go above the hanger?
Yeah. And I mean, this was just, Andy kind of mocked it up really quickly. So I think that absolutely is a possibility that we would be able, there's plenty of space up there to do something like that.
Okay.
And the other thing that I don't think is on here, I had asked him to put something like for more information. Maybe it says there, I can't quite tell. I don't have my glasses on well enough, but anyway, at the bottom would be or wherever we'd want to put it, be sort of like for more information to contact him or me or whoever's appropriate.
Well, thank you, staff, for putting in the additional effort on this. And I know it's still a work in progress, but we're working on it. So thank you. Does anyone have any other questions about that? Okay. Number 8, report and potential action, the historic marker application and program update. I know Jill and Bonnie had some discussions, and Jill has updated that application. Do you or Bonnie want to talk to us about that?
Yeah, we decided to have like an introductory letter, so you can read through that. And then we tried to make it we looked at some of the other cities in Texas, of their designs and what their information is. And we tried to simplify it a little bit and put it in categories. So hopefully that works for you. That's it.
Ladies, for taking the time to go through that. I read through it earlier this week. And I really appreciate y'all's efforts, and I'm comfortable. And I know you guys approved a marker at the last meeting, right, for the Heritage Society. So thank you to Leroy and his team for getting that together. I think the big thing is we're still waiting on a price from the foundry.
We did get one at the end, but I did have one other comment about the criteria. So if you look at this, it's you have to meet 3 out of the 11 criteria, but when we did break that down into the property, location, individual, event, not all of them have 3 criteria to choose from. If we're talking about an event or a person, there are 2 general criteria, but that would mean that for a person, they'd have to meet all 3 of these. An event, you'd have to meet, you see what I mean? Like, I'm not sure. You may want to think about that a little bit more. See if you want to add at least one more thing that they had, so that they can, it's a little bit easier to make that connect. I'm not sure.
3 out of the 11 was probably just an arbitrary number.
Yes.
And so I think the important thing is that designation as historic property, location, individual, event must have significantly contributed to the history of Smithville, in accordance with the criteria below. And so that it would be, there's not a specific number.
Okay. So if you're all right with
That's what
that, I
I would
can change
recommend.
that section to kind of reflect that. Is that?
And that way this committee reviews the criteria and does it tick enough boxes? Because an event, I mean,
What else are you gonna add, right?
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the 3 out of 11 was just arbitrary. And I think it just needs to have had a significant impact on the history of the community.
Okay, perfect. And so if you want to just let me know, I'll rewrite that section. But if you want to look and see if there is anything else in the meantime that you'd like to change the language on a little bit or whatever, so that the next time we bring this up, so we can finalize it. So I'd really appreciate any feedback from anybody who wanted to do that. I did get the quotes just yesterday, I want to say.
See those in the
yesterday.
back of the packet that
Yeah.
was in front of your.
So these prices are effective for the next 30 days as of yesterday. We order one at a time. It's in bronze and aluminum is the quotation. So we've got $299 for just one at a time plus shipping. What I would like to recommend is the cultural district has committed to paying for the one for the Heritage Society. We used to have one on display here at City Hall, which we actually gave to the Lost Pines Artisans Alliance when they got their marker because of timing, and we never replaced it. So what I'd like to do is the cultural district, if we have enough money, once we look through the budget and confirm, but I think we can order 2, one to go for the Heritage Society and one to keep on display. That's kind of the plan. But just so that you can see, there is a break in the price for if you do, just one at a time versus 2 to 5 versus 6 to 10. If there's any reason why the committee would be interested, I don't know that it makes any sense, but just so you're aware of that, that's a possibility. If you all go out and you have 6 people that, you really get them going and you want them all, they all want to have it in the next 3 months or whatever. And then I can go and get a quote for 6 at a time. It's a slightly better break is kind of, I guess, what I'm trying to let you know.
Thank you, Jill.
being frugal with taxpayer dollars.
Yeah, I think one on display is fantastic. So thank you to the cultural district for doing that. But I don't think the city needs to store any in reserve. I think these are, as needed by the property owner. So price subject to change. And so I think you can just put an estimate in that introductory letter that just says, here's the production time and somewhere. So we don't need to take action on that today because you're going to make those changes. Okay. Future agenda items and meeting dates and times. So this committee meets quarterly or on an as needed basis. Our quarterly meeting was last month in April. And so you guys would technically meet again in July. So unless anyone has an issue with that. Or you could technically change it and meet 3 months from today. So that's up to you guys.
Do we know what might be coming up?
Haven't heard anything from anybody about anything coming up right now.
So July is fine. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you all for being here on a Friday afternoon. It is 5:39. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye. Everybody adjourn. Thank you.
Bye, ladies and gentlemen.